We have a very full agenda for the evening. I'm very proud of the group of individuals who have decided to join us, to lend us their expertise and experience, and we'll start the program very quickly. I have a couple of thanks to do and a couple of introductions. First, let me have our new Dean of the School of Business for 5 weeks, as he is fond of telling us, Dean Jaime Alonso Gomez, who will give us a few remarks and welcome and start our evening off. So, Dean Gomez.
It is always nice to see this level of energy, this level of celebration, the joy of life. And what do I mean by the joy of life? Well, we are building new wealth, we are building new possibilities, and we are building a new society. In the School of Business, we really believe that entrepreneurship is a driving force to build a more prosperous and more peaceful society. Let me just share with you in 2 or 3 minutes some of the initiatives that we have in the School of Business as a way to take the notion of entrepreneurship to the next level. This morning, we had the meeting with our advisory board, and I took the liberty of inviting the Dean of the School of Engineering and the Dean of the School of Peace Studies, Dean Patricia Marquez and Chell Roberts. And they both came because now the School of Business is gonna put together a very robust initiative in which engineers, peacemakers, and people who build the business enterprise, we're gonna be working together in order to actually develop new wealth. Wealth which implies definitely profits, but also people, planet, peace, and prosperity. The Penta bottom line business approach to wealth creation. Many of us are familiar with the idea of triple bottom line, people, planet, and profits. But we also want to extend, with the help of the Peace Studies and the School of Engineering, the idea of creating new wealth that also includes peace and prosperity. So that is initiative number 1, and as the major flagship of this particular initiative is an institute or a center yet to be defined on innovation and business entrepreneurship. So this also implies social innovation. That is initiative number 1 that we have in the school. A second initiative is we recently opened the Madrid Center, which is roughly speaking a 10,000 square meters facility in Madrid. You need to translate that into square foot. No, I'm just kidding. But it is actually only 2 blocks away from Puerta de Alcalá, which is downtown Madrid. And it is a tremendous facility because we really want our entrepreneurs to engage in activities which are transatlantic and also trans-Pacific. So we're going to start developing international regional boards, one in Mexico City, another one in Madrid, another one probably in Kuwait. And the whole idea is to use these areas, Madrid, Mexico City, Kuwait, as embassies, not only of the School of Business, but also of the whole university. And so there's a second initiative because we want to increase visibility and we want to increase positioning of the school in areas of the world in which we want to have a very explicit positioning and branding. Number 3, we really want to believe something like this. Just think of yourself in year 2020 and you are reading the newspaper, like on your iPad, and you're gonna see something like this. 76% of graduates from the School of Business, they all have their own business. And many of these businesses are, and you continue. Because we really want to believe that the School of Business is a force for societal prosperity. So we see the School of Business not only educating good managers, good professionals, but also fabulous entrepreneurs. There are additional things that we are also contemplating as part of the new energy that we have in the school. But we are waiting a little bit for President Harris, who is the new president of the university. He's been there in that position only for a couple of months. I've been for 5 weeks, so far so good. I'm still enthusiastic and committed. Yes, but we're waiting for President Harris to engage into a university-wide strategic plan so we can align all of our initiatives in the School of Business, the School of Engineering, with the same approach in order to be a unified entity and really be able to serve society in a much more robust way. Finally, I just would like to say, how do I see an entrepreneur? Well, an entrepreneur is a person who definitely knows and has knowledge and skills on how to start a business. They know how to build a business plan. Professor Lawless is tremendously good in, inviting us to acquire the tools and the methods. So that's issue number one, knowledge and skills. But also an entrepreneur needs judgment, the capacity to analyze, synthesize, discern, and decide where I should go. Like, what are the possibilities I have? I need to choose between many choices. So judgment is a fundamental element of being an entrepreneur. But once we have decided, we need to have the character. We need to have the stomach to really understand that being an entrepreneur is not just give me another monster burrito and so far so good. It really implies the character to really start something substantially different. So knowledge and skills, judgment and character. I remember my conversations with Jeffrey Adler when we, through our students in the School of Business, we were helping him and working with him in order to consolidate the operation he has in the Middle East. So he definitely has the character, and he has several videos that actually exemplify that particular quality. Judgment and character are fundamental, but an entrepreneur needs to build trust, in particular when the entrepreneur needs money from other sources. So trust is fundamental. But most important, an entrepreneur needs passion. He or she needs to be passionate about what they are going to start for the first time. Knowledge, skills, judgment, character, trust, and passion. This is the beginning of a great new cycle. And please, when you become rich and famous, come back to the school. Welcome to this particularly excellent event. Welcome to the school.
Thanks, Dean Gomez. We have one other speaker. Grace Michelle is representing the School of Peace Studies and the Center for Peace and Commerce. This is a parallel track oriented towards social entrepreneurship, where the V2 pitch competition and this evening are kind of a mix of social and capitalism. So we're very pleased to, for the first time, after having given this event several times in the past years, to partner with the Center for Peace and Commerce and have them join us in representing social entrepreneurship on our panels and in partnering with them to develop and put on this event. So Grace, would you say a few words?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Nice to see you. So when I look into this audience, I see a room full of innovators. I see a room full of change makers, and I see the potential for creating a better world. As Mike Lawless mentioned, I'm Grace Michael, and I'm the Assistant Director of the Center for Peace and Commerce here at USD. The CPC is a unique collaboration between the School of Business Administration and the Kroc School of Peace Studies. And at the CPC, we are encouraging our students, our faculty, and our greater USD community to build a more peaceful and prosperous world through innovative thinking and action, and integrating business principles and effective management with peace building and in the pursuit of positive social change. So we're really, really excited to be a part of this Legacy Conference tonight. I want to give a huge thank you to the woman who makes this happen, Regina Bernal. Thank you so much, Regina, for her brilliant work putting this together. And thank you to Dr. Mike Lawless for your leadership in the entrepreneurship program, and to Dean Gomez as well. And thank you to our panelists who are here this evening. We're really excited to have you all here. And tonight is particularly exciting for me because for the first time, we have on this panel several people who have participated in our Social Innovation Challenge. So the Social Innovation Challenge is the largest student social venture competition in San Diego. And it's open not only to USD students, but to students from other campuses in the county. So we've awarded over $200,000 of seed funding since we began 5 years ago. And when students participate in the SIC, you students, I hope, whether or not you receive funding, you join a community and you join a network of people who are driving forward social innovation in our region, in our city and beyond. So tonight we have past Social Innovation Challenge winners Teresa Smith and Sneha Jayaprakash here. And we also have serial social entrepreneurs like Ned McMahon. And these are people who embody what it means to be a social innovator. They've created their organizations and their businesses specifically to address issues that they want to see transformed, including homelessness, access to volunteers for nonprofits, renewable energy, and much more. So these are businesses where social responsibility is the DNA of the company and the reason that they exist. So if creating a social purpose company or initiative excites you, and that's where your passion is, talk to these folks tonight, connect with this amazing community of innovators, and take advantage of the many offerings that USD has to encourage students in this direction, including our Idea Lab series, which prepares students to enter both the Social Innovation Challenge and the V2 pitch competition. Our theme this year, which you've seen scrolling up on the screen, is Innovators DNA, and tonight is an opportunity to tap into that innovative spirit inside you. So most of you, when you walked in, you received one of these light bulbs on a stick. So no, they are not intended to be fans, although you may use them that way because I think it's going to be 90 degrees this weekend. But the idea here is that we wanted to create a visual way of capturing the innovation, the energy, the excitement, and the ideas that are going to be born in this room tonight. So anytime that something inspires you, anytime that something connects to you, you have a new idea or a new thought, raise your light bulb high. And the idea is that we'll all be able to see the connections, the energy, the ideas, and the inspiration that's flowing through this room. And perhaps it might even spark another person to make a new connection. So let's just do a quick test. Everybody hold up your light bulb high. Hold it up there. Great, don't be shy. I know some of you are keeping them hidden. Okay, wonderful. So let this be like the new version of the Beat Generation. Don't worry about it being distracting, just put it up there. We're not the Beat Generation, we're the Innovation Generation. Thank you and enjoy the night.
Thanks, Grace. I have one or two admin notes, and then we'll a few thank yous, and then we'll get on with our program. Because of the success that we've had, we actually, Eventbrite, our platform for registering people, shut down at 350 registrants, which is about twice what we had last year and about 3 times the year before. So we keep growing and growing, and I'm very excited to be able to tell you that. On the other hand, it does create some logistical issues. So 1 or 2 changes to the program. The panel of what I would tell my 21-year-old self will take place in this room. We'll have a short break to reset the stage, and we'll continue in here. The panel, how I would start my business, will be in breakout rooms A and B, which are to my right. So pick the panel that you're interested in listening to. That's a change from the program, so make sure that you're in the place that you want to be as we move forward. The Fireside Chat is going to be slightly different. Silvia Ma, my Fireside Chat partner for this evening, is on her way. The last we heard was she was on the 5 up by UCSD. We're hoping she can join us. But we turned contingencies into opportunities, and I'm excited and delighted to tell you that Jeffrey Adler, the founder of Dlush and an old friend of the business school and university, will join me for the Fireside Chat. And I'm not going to say if, but when Silvia arrives, we'll have her join us as well. So we're going to be improvisational. We're going to have a lot of fun, starting with our first part of the evening. You know that the evening breaks out into 3 parts. The first is the Fireside Chat. Second are the 2 concurrent panels with 5 of our returning alumni or friends of the university. The last part of the evening is a delight to me, and it is where we take our 10 speakers and break them out spatially around the breakout rooms in the here in the IPJ, and you have the opportunity to have small group or even one-on-one conversations with them. We'll try to have those in 45-minute segments. Wisely, I think. I'll give myself credit for this. We have 15-minute breaks. We've already used up our first 15-minute breaks to start off the evening. So let me just thank some folks who have been a big help in organizing, presenting, and sponsoring the conference. EIP for the incredible food that I know a number of us enjoyed. Dlush, here's Jeffrey again for the Dlush drinks that you might have enjoyed in the lobby. Startup Garage for your support in promoting and helping us to invite the San Diego startup community to our event tonight. WOVA, thank you for your partnership and for giving us the app that will help us connect to everyone who is here tonight. Remember, everyone, to download the WOVA app. It's free, and it's now at your app store. Follow the agenda and check out everyone's profile to make sure that you have all the networking opportunities that are available to you tonight. And finally, our Entrepreneurship Club. Thank you all for your volunteer hours, your effort, and your energy in putting on this event. Basically, Regina and I are the entrepreneurship team here at the business school, and we can't do this just the two of us. So thank you, Entrepreneurship Club folks. Let's give all those folks who have helped us out a round of applause. Jeffrey, come on up here. We're going to have a fireside chat. Jeffrey Adler. Someday I'm going to have to produce a fire for the fireside chat, but I haven't had to yet. This is a chance for us to have a little bit of an intimate conversation among several hundred people with someone who's been significant and important in entrepreneurship in San Diego and at the business school. Thanks for stepping in.
Hey, I love being an understudy.
You have, not in my mind, you're an overstudy.
Yeah.
Your story is a complex one with some definite ups and downs. If you would tell us about one or two that would let us know about an entrepreneur's journey, not necessarily being all going up, and how you deal with crises and barriers when they confront you.
Sure. Well, for starters, though, I just want to sincerely thank you for allowing me to participate. And I've definitely had the opportunity to participate in some things before here at USD, and Dlush. But it is quite, as I kind of look around, it is quite amazing to see the evolution of your program, and a big tipping of the hat, which I'm not wearing right now, to you, Regina, of course the outgoing David Pike, and Dr. Gomez. This is good stuff.
Good.
Well done. So, how to deal with crisis? Yeah. Well, it's, as probably some of you know that are probably in business presently or contemplating going into business, being an entrepreneur is kind of a lot like being at war. And it continues to amaze me about the complexity of what it takes to be successful. And I suppose one of the things that I'm kind of getting my arms around now is the power of elimination and the recognition that less is more, truly, in any aspect of business, right? And so as Dlush kind of goes through this, twists and turns and lessons learned and a restart, which we can, of course, talk about, I continue to see the power and the financial intelligence of simplifying operations, simplifying direction, simplifying, every aspect to the business through the power of eliminating and staying true to kind of a core key product or service. And in our
Perfect.
case,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I specifically had in mind one crisis that we sort of vicariously lived through with you. Dlush is a bricks and mortar drink store, but with an added kind of branding aspect to it of lifestyle and engagement with the community. Jeffrey had a lease in a great spot in a mall up in the UTC area.
Fashion Valley, yep.
Yep. That for reasons that had nothing to do with his operation, his success, his performance, or paying his bills, was changed.
Yep.
And it was a tough time. So if it's not too painful, please relate that. And I think the important thing is, look, here you are. You know, you're doing great. You've not only survived, but exceeded everyone's expectations. So tell us how you got through that crisis and how you got to where you are now.
Well, that's for sure. A lot of people, counted us out for dead a long time ago. And the fact that we're living and breathing, albeit barely, is definitely testimony to myself and obviously our key team that has really leaned into the obstacle, right?
Yeah.
So yes, to briefly educate y'all, Dlush was definitely sucker punched, if you will, and had its leash ripped out from underneath its feet in the wink of an eye, or the blink of an eye. And it did set, the stage for a plane falling from 40,000 feet without one wing. And it was, for a period of time, looked like it was over. So, but as I think some of you all would acknowledge through your own life experiences and maybe even business, obstacles is an opportunity in disguise, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're very fortunate that we smartened up. And we took a look at some key things that we needed to do. And we knocked down doors and figured out how we were going to restart the company. And so when, Dr. Gomez and I see these really cool slides talk about grit and scrappy and courage, a lot of those sort of ways of being were things that we pulled on to try to re-engage the business. And looking back now, we're, the risk of sounding spiritual, we're blessed because crisis forced us to really do a hard scrub on all things Dlush. And Dlush today is dramatically different in its experience and its product mix than it was just 3 years ago, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but for that event, it would never be.
So tell us maybe one or two things that you note are pivots or resets.
Sure.
Between before and after.
Well, there's several. Probably the most critical one is to really think about the problem. To be an entrepreneur, you're in the problem-solving business, right? So you got to figure out what's the problem in the market and what benefits your product can offer to answer those problems, right? And so Dlush historically was a little bit over-focused on the branding and the experiential component and not necessarily the core problem that we exist to solve, right? And so where we have landed is in realizing through a lot of mentorship that our product, if appropriately tweaked, has a lot of suitability on campus-life venues, universities. And so, and our product, if tweaked, could go from marginally healthy to legitimately healthy product. And so the opportunity we saw and are now exploiting and doing remarkably well is this position of putting out a QSR, a quick serve retail concept that serves super drinks, super food with a super heart. And by that I mean the underlying social purpose and outreach component. And that model of the social intersecting with the healthy food on the go, healthy on the go, in a campus venue, right, with students. In this case, UCSD, 40,000 faculty and staff. It's it's the center of the bee's hive, and it's doing quite well. And so, today, our target is to establish true proof of concept at UCSD, and then look to roll out in other, sister campuses in the UC system, and certainly other campuses here at UC San Diego as a student life for students, run by students, product made to give back to students business model.
So previously you had set up at a mall.
Yeah, we're mall-based, we were in a church, we were a little bit of a lot of things.
Yeah.
We're in Kuwait, we're in Dubai, we're in Doha, we're in Bangkok, but how's that for lack of focus? So it's okay. So at year 16, we realized, wait a minute, maybe there's some wisdom in picking one geo, in this case, student life, cleaning up the product mix,
Yeah.
and certainly bringing in some of the neat things that we had historically done well in terms of the spirit, the extraordinary customer service, the really tasty product, clean up the tasty and make it nutritious, meats delicious, and look to be, potentially the first campus-wide campus life chain.
So I'm thinking that causes you to develop a set of skills maybe that you didn't have previously in marketing in that channel, presenting to universities.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, it's a completely different market, right? There are some overlaps in that it's a young market, and Dlush historically has appealed to the younger generation, if you will, but the student market is certainly different than the mall going, I'll throw $7 at a drink, leaving Apple before going to MAC Cosmetic and then seeing a movie. And so at the campus, it's a much more price-sensitive market, but it has lots of attractions in terms of frequency, 3 times a day potentially as a customer base, as opposed to maybe 3 times every 3 months at a mall, right? So it's but the setback was the setup for the current comeback.
Right, yeah. I think that Jeffrey's an old friend, as I mentioned before. He has visited our classes, spoken to our students, participated in this event previously, so an old, long relationship. And I think that one of the things that...
Maryland alums.
Yeah.
There we go.
Go Terps. One of the things that I want to make sure that we cover is the decision that you made to continue. It seemed to me that there was a point where you probably could have said, you know what, maybe I ought to go back and be a lawyer. Well, maybe not that, but
my mom would have been thrilled.
Jeffrey is trained as a lawyer, but has avoided it.
Yes.
So tell us about the decision to press on as opposed to saying just,
Sure.
This is not going to happen.
Well, this kind of, my thoughts, just stream of conscious on that question really ties to the sort of the underpinnings to why everyone's in this room to begin with, right? Which, entrepreneurism, creating your own business, whatever it is a creative pursuit that comes from deep, harnessing something, pulling from something from within. So your slide, for example, says, do you have it in you? I think, is that the tagline or something? Which is a neat line. My view on it, respectfully, is that everybody has it in them. The question is, do they have the conviction, the courage, the gumption, the balls to pull it out and expose it? And so my view on it is that everybody has in their DNA at the molecular, submolecular, atomic, whatever, subatomic level, they have the entrepreneurial spirit. And I think capitalism is embedded in human nature, and by that I don't mean just making money. I'm not talking about it from the dollars and cents standpoint. I'm talking about for the need to express your creative side and the gratification that comes from having the ability to create something and have others participate in that creation. And so when we hit that wall and every bone in the body broke and we lost that lease and $250,000 a year in profits were suddenly ripped out from underneath me and us, there's a good reason to think that logic and practical thinking would have allowed me to arrive at, well, you know what, it's been a good run. And instead, I flipped the page and I said, okay, chapter 2, right? And so the question is, what drove that? And one is borderline insanity. The other is, speaking obviously very personally, is a sense of destiny. So I believe that I am destined to create something great. That's a belief system, right? And I'm either going to die very poor, as I've told our staff, or I'm going to die really rich. And I don't mean, again, rich in the dollars and cents. I mean in terms of the gratification bucket, right? And so I believe that inherently Dlush has the potential to do great things. And so I tapped into that and then naturally looked outwards into this community to have other people, investors, other innovators, in this case institutions, people like yourselves, to help us to be vulnerable enough have the courage to be vulnerable enough to say, all right, this is a tough time. It's going to get messy here, but we can get through this. And we're not going to let one man sitting at a desk in Austin, Texas, who said, flip the Pinkberry, Dlush is out, determine my fate, or even potentially the fate of what Dlush exists to do, which is to enrich and inspire the lives of kids everywhere through the cup. So having the belief that okay, and to lean in. And so I think everybody has it, and it's a question of whether they have the willingness and the courage to expose it and reveal it, even if it gets smash mouth through that journey.
I hear very strongly in what you're telling us, a thread that goes through my understanding of entrepreneurship and capitalism in a broad sense. So even if there's nothing in the charter about having a social mission, I think that entrepreneurs, many of them, do have in mind a sense about creating jobs, creating opportunities for other people, and I think that's part of your mission.
Absolutely.
But I think what you do goes beyond that. You do have community involvement as a big part of what you do at Dlush.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
So just tell us a few.
In the absence of that, it's fair to, as a confession, in the absence of the belief that Dlush matters, which is more here than in actuality, frankly, at this point, but it would be tough for me to do what I do, and maybe even for our staff that leans in as amazingly as they do. So the social component to our work,
yeah,
right, is the underlying driver that keeps us going, right? It's that fuel in the tank. That said, no money, no honey. You have to make money, and it is the most responsible thing I can do as an entrepreneur is turn $1 into 3, and 3 into 33, and so on, right? Not only for us, but for our stakeholders and our loyal team, so that we can then make it scalable, right? Because otherwise it's not sustainable. And so there's the economic side of it that drives us, right? And it's a beautiful thing to make money. Money is a form of currency, right? It's a form of energy. And then, of course, there's the social component. And when those things synthesize, whether they're on a value of 1 to 10, a 3 here on making money, and maybe a 6 on community, we're going to push them up and have them, and then,
Terrific. We have an opportunity to turn a contingency into an opportunity. Silvia has joined us.
Oh, nice.
Come on up.
Hello there.
Seeing you again.
Yes, nice seeing you again.
Yeah. Thank you.
And one of my jobs is furniture mover. So thanks, welcome.
Thank you for having me so late. Thank you.
We're delighted you could join us. Jeffrey and I have been having a nice conversation, and you're our third part of our fireside chat
Wonderful.
this evening. Yeah. So can we shift and ask
Let's play.
Sylvia a couple of questions here?
Yeah.
Sylvia is a friend of USD. She has participated in our V2 pitch competition as one of our angel investors, and has been a big help to us in advising and counseling us as we develop our entrepreneurship program here. She's also a co-founder of the Hera Hub, which is a community co-working space, coaching and mentoring association for women entrepreneurs and investors. And we hosted just a few weeks ago at USD our second Hera Summit, and we're delighted to have a role in promoting women as entrepreneurs and investors. So thank you for that
Wonderful
role.
partnership. You're
It
always
is.
so supportive. So thank you for that.
It's awesome. Let me just bring you into the conversation with a question like I asked Jeffrey earlier on, and that is you've had in your professional life, your entrepreneurial life, and your investor life, a couple of, I'm sure, pivotal moments when you had to really reevaluate what you're doing and why. And maybe with the time that we have, you could just highlight one. I know this is throwing this at you to unrehearse.
I love that.
And improvise. But if you could reflect on one of those, tell us what it is and how it affected you as professionally and personally.
Yeah, good question. So thank you for having me, first of all. I'm really sorry that I'm so late, but thank you for being here. I will stay afterwards for any questions that anybody might have, so please know that. So pivotal moment, I think for me it was really understanding that the angel world that's out there needs more women. And when you see a need like that, no matter if you're a woman or a man, or if you're starting your own business, or you're an angel investor, seek the opportunity. And so when I saw that, I said, wow, only about 14% of investors are women, but we control really a lot of the capital in the United States. What's going on? Why? So as a scientist myself, I'm like, okay, I want to figure this out. Don't we all want to like do a lot of research and find out all this great data? I love doing that. You know, I always call myself a recovering scientist, and love doing that. But then I said, you know what? I need to do something active. I need to actively invest in my community. I have to actively invest in other women. I have to actively invest in other startups because that's what makes me whole. That's what makes me passionate. So I think that that's the pivotal moment when I said, you know what, I can do all this talk and all that, but I need to actually do something about it. And I think that that's any time that an entrepreneur says, I have a great idea, oh my gosh, I want to do this great thing with X, Y, or Z. And you have that idea and you have it in your brain, act on it. That's the pivotal moment. I think that you probably talked about that a little bit. I know his history. So so that I think that that's maybe the pivotal moment in my career, I guess.
Tell us about being on the investor side of, we have an audience of entrepreneurs and maybe someday investors, maybe not quite there yet. Tell us about how you look at an entrepreneur who comes to you with a great idea and how you go about evaluating what they're telling you.
Yeah, so I think every investor or the best investors have been entrepreneurs. I always say, give me an investor who has been an entrepreneur. I love that, you know, because you've built an empire, and then you can actually give that wisdom to others and help that entrepreneur grow. So a couple of things that I see in entrepreneurs. One is the person. I know you hear that 1,000 zillion times, and you're like, I'm so passionate. I want to tell an investor I'm going to take this idea to the nth degree. Well, tell them that. Like, tell them that with that much enthusiasm. That's you? Okay, good. Okay, yeah. I was like, maybe that's mine. Tell them that through that enthusiasm. You know, tell them I'm going to take this from here, where you are right now, where you're talking to me, where you're going to actually put all of your risk into me, and I'm going to take it here. I'm going to give you that return on your investment, and really mean it. And back it up with good data and good financials. Some people come in and they're like, oh, I have a great idea, and the market's this big. And so what are your financials? And they don't have any idea. Some other people come in and have a rock star presentation and a rock star thing. I'm like, talk to me more. So an entrepreneur wants to talk to an investor or do a pitch because they want the next meeting, right? Yep. They really want that. And I think for me as an investor, I like to have lots of meetings, and I know the entrepreneurs that I have invested in, we have many meetings because I want to know that person. I want to know them intimately. I want to know their product intimately, but I want to know more about them. Where have they come from? What can they do? What's that? I don't know if you've probably already talked about that, but that drive. And really, I'm banking more on the entrepreneur than the idea. Not really.
Yep. So, yes. Do you? I'm thinking when I'm listening to you, I'm thinking of Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Well, not you as Jim Carrey, but do you all know Jim Carrey? Is this on right?
Yes, it's on.
Okay, thank you. The actor, comedian, right? So I was watching. Has anybody seen his talk recently? Not recently, but his graduation speech that he did sometime in the past. Wow, there you go, bingo. Look at that.
Is Jim here?
So he raised his light bulb. So, but then you can probably finish my sentence, but he speaks to this belief that he is where he is. He described himself as being on the top of the mountain in life because he had, again, the guts to go out and do what it is he chose to do. So in this case, when you're talking about call the meeting, call the follow-up meeting, you know, create the opportunity. He talks about visualization, right? And the power of visualizing that you deserve to be here. And Jim's biggest statement is that people are too scared to have faith in the certainty that they deserve and are meant to go out and create something magnificent. And so he, through his father, was instilled with that belief system, and now we got a lot of good comedy. So, but it's really interesting. So as it relates to venture capitalists calling the meeting, coming armed with the data, and calling the second meeting, and you know, versus saying, well, maybe another day.
And I think some of the questions that have come up to me is, how do you get that first meeting? Amen around the room? A little bit. It's being here. We have a supportive university system here in San Diego, especially USD, that creates events like this. You're here? Awesome, good, check mark, done. Okay, you meet somebody. Somebody might be sitting right next to you that you can contact and get that next meeting with. I know that for Hera Fund, we are an angel group here in San Diego of female angel investors. I hold office hours every other week. On Fridays from 12 to 2, come visit me, I love it. Give yourself that opportunity to meet that angel. I know Golden Seeds, who is another female angel group across the nation, has office hours as well. They're up in UC Irvine. It's just like, you know, an hour away from here, sort of. Go up and talk to them.
Depending, right?
Took me an hour to get here.
And you're here.
Yeah, and I'm here. Those are the types of things that are so critical for you to take advantage of. If there's pitch sessions, you don't have to be even pitching. Be in the room.
In so many ways, what we're talking about, what you're hearing from both Silvia and Jeffrey, is the notion of partnering, of community. The relationship between an investor and an entrepreneur is, in my mind, by no means strictly financial. It's a partnership. It is, in some ways, a deeper relationship even than a partnership, from the entrepreneur side and from the investor side.
I want to say that as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about this. I think actually that the folks that are in the room here tonight are actually part of making history for San Diego, and I want to say why. This is a thesis. Our belief is that San Diego, as a market, as a community, is going through I think, a very quiet evolution, not unlike what Silicon Valley went through any number of years ago, whatever, in the late 90s into the early 2000s, and being a hub for technological breakthroughs, right? And I think that's happening here on the social innovation meets entrepreneurship space. And I think to your point about getting out and participating, getting out of the living room, get out from behind the remote control, and go create something across a myriad of opportunities that great institutions like USD and others offer is a fantastic way, because there is so much going on. And if I had to fast forward when Dr. Gomez talked about 2020, right? My view is that in 2020, San Diego is going to be not unlike, maybe it's 2025, but not unlike Silicon Valley in terms of being a hub for social innovation and entrepreneurship. I truly believe that.
We do it our own way. So that's something that everybody's like, oh, I'm going to go up to Silicon Valley. Go ahead, but we do have people here to support each other. So have those meetings and have those opportunities. And I think going back to your question that I don't know if we answered it or not, but what is it more the money or the connections? So sometimes whenever an entrepreneur comes up to me and they say, hey, I want to get invested, or are you interested in my company? And I can't really do anything for them. I say, you know what, I would love to give you that money, but I really am not the right person for you. But you know what, I like you. We've had a great conversation. I love your passion. Let me connect you to somebody else. Okay? I mean, I go to the Angel Capital Association meeting every single year. I'm going to go now to the one in Southwest, the Southwest Regional at the end of this month. And because going there, they said, you know what, can you bring an entrepreneur with you? And I am bringing an entrepreneur with me because we've had wonderful conversations. And I like her product. I don't want to invest in her because I can't do anything for her. I can't really do it. But there's other entrepreneurs that have been able to really access what I can do. Just recently invested in South Doctors. And what I could bring to, yes, she's right there. That's why I mentioned here. So the reason why I love working with her and I can really bring some value is because I'm from Venezuela. I'm an international student. Doesn't look like it, I know it doesn't look like it, but I am Latina. And so, get me on a dance floor. No, so I love, yeah, exactly. So I loved her product, I loved her passion. She pitches incredibly well, incredibly well. So of course that's one like little check mark. Another check mark is like I can actually help her. So recently this month I went down to Tijuana and I spoke at Mujer Pyme and I was able to connect some great people with her. That's something that I can give to her outside of money. That's what you should be looking at for angel investors. What can they do for me? How can I leverage their networks? How can I leverage what they're doing? I mean, my network was not in Tijuana, but I'm willing to go down there. I can speak Spanish. I can talk to everybody down there.
Well, as a case in point for Dlush, in our restart, if we look at the profiles of the 6 or 8 key investors that have been good enough to share their time, money, and energy with me and with our team, not one is in the food and beverage space, right? And so each and every one is in any space but food and beverage, go figure. And so to your point, it's very powerful as you all go out and think about, funding or mentorship or guidance, what have you, to Dr. Gomez, and I think to your belief system, Mike, about cross-disciplinary, right, training and development across from psychology to entrepreneurship to this. My sources of capital, bottom line, brass tacks, have come from parties that have nothing to do with restaurant or quick serve retail, nothing, right? And so the question is, well, why would they choose to participate in this company called Dlush, particularly given its troubled restart times? Separate discussion, but the point is, it starts with a belief, which is to your point, that networking, right, you don't discriminate, it transcends, it's a universal way of being an entrepreneur, right?
I'm going to leverage the last 2 comments with a quick plug and reflection on what we do at USD. We serve everyone. We're interested in promoting entrepreneurship and developing the ideas that come from our students and from the regional community. But I think especially we have staked out and the charge, the mission of supporting women entrepreneurs through our partnership with Hera and through our studies here at the university. I think also that it's very important to your mentioning Tijuana, that we see San Diego not as I think a lot of people in the US do, as kind of tucked away in a little pocket of the country with the desert to the east, the ocean to the west, and Mexico to the south. We see ourselves as a gateway to Mexico and to the rest of the world going south in particular. And we've promoted that with boot camps, with training sessions, with seminars, with promoting entrepreneurship among Mexican student investors. It's become an important part of our mission. And actually, Silvia participated in our V2 pitch competition last year. The second year, we ran a binational track for Mexican entrepreneurs to come up here and pitch in front of angel investors. So that's a very important part of our mission that's evolved kind of quickly over the last couple of years. We're very proud of it.
Well, this binational region is so rich for us to really be able to live here is amazing. Absolutely. There's possibilities of maquiladoras that are in Tijuana. Other types of production possibilities are there. There's also talent there in the sense of thought process and innovative ideas of that. The V2 competition was awesome. But then there's also capital, and the Hera Venture Summit that we just had last month, we invited female angel investors from Tijuana to come across the border and be part of our summit to talk about what it means to invest in the binational Cali Baja region. We need to do more of that. So, thank you for taking the charge, but it is such a great region. We need to take on those opportunities and really kind of connect the dots.
It's a joy to participate.
Yeah.
I feel energy growing. I feel this conversation could go on for much, much longer. We do have to pay attention to the clock. The next phase of our evening is about to start. We do need to give our IPJ folks a chance to transition the stage. One of the panels is going to be here. The second one is going to be in rooms A and B off to the side. So we'll take a quick 10-minute break, a little bit shorter than we had planned. But please decide which panel you want to listen to. Come back here or join the panel in the other room. And let's thank our Fireside Chat partners.